Good morning. So this will be the second tutorial for Big Country Football. So there was a person that asked to demonstrate how the DFA and the DIA are executed in Big Country Football. DFA is defense fumble adjustment. DIA is defense interception adjustment. Okay, so first thing first, the D20 number, right? So this one just tells us who's responsible. So some of this information over here is just who's responsible for the actual sack fumble, right? But then we have these that have to be triggered, and they have to be triggered by the second D20 has to be in this range, and this is modified by the quarterback. Or the quarterback and intended receiver, fullback plus quarterback here, and that would make it, higher or lower chance of the pass being completed. And this is also true of the running backs. So when my running back gets a 9-yard run, and let's say the linebacker is a 0, so we stay on this line. So my running back rips through, and he's off to the races. My running back's, let's say, a -2. I would lower this number to 14 plus. And let's say I roll that D20 and I roll a 15, and he's tripped up for nothing. So as he starts to break free, the linebacker grabs him by the jersey, spins him around, throws him to the turf. He doesn't get anything, but he had 9 yards worth of open ground. So that -2 halfback, I rolled a 15. The -2 halfback actually cost himself 9 yards. Had he been a 0 halfback with a roll of 15, he would have gotten his 9 yards, right? So that -2 really hurt. So if his halfback had been a +2, it'd be an 18 and up to get tripped up, which means he's very dangerous, right? So that's how that works for halfback. So if he breaks free and it says tripped up for 0, you make that run, you modify it by the halfback, not the linebacker. Okay, same with the fullback. Now this chart doesn't have the fullback breakaway. It has the 8-yard pass, 15 plus incomplete. Okay, so first let's just go over this. The second D20, the defensive D20, is used for this secondary result. Okay, we modify any pass, incomplete pass rating by your quarterback's ability to throw a better pass and your receiver's ability to get open. So we would add the tight end to the quarterback for this 13 plus. If they're together a +4, then this would be 17 and up that it's incomplete. Much harder as the tight end, much harder to not be complete, right? Again, the linebacker only shifts us down or up, or if he's a 0, we stay right here. Okay, so that's how that whole process works. I roll the die, and it comes out. Fullback runs for 4 yards. My OL's a 2. Their DL's a -2. The DL wins, so then we have to go down 2, 1, 2. So audible at the line of scrimmage, the quarterback decides to throw it to 1d6. I'm going to roll the die. 1d6 for open. For first down pass. Let's say I roll a 1. It's to the flanker. That would be an 8-yard pass for a first down to the flanker. So the audible, the DL is so basically the DL was lined up in the gaps, taking away the run. The quarterback saw it, made a change at the line of scrimmage, snapped, dropped back, threw a first down strike to the flanker. Right? That's sample. Now, if the OL had been better, he would, we get to the line of scrimmage, the OL is better than the DL. He sticks to the play call and calls the safe fullback run for 4. Right? Okay. That's how that works. All right, so interceptions. How do we modify interceptions? Okay, so let's say that we rolled a 1. It's intercepted as a question mark because we don't know, and we don't know by who. Okay, so remember, when you roll the dice in my game, you roll both D20s and the D6 all together. So let's say we roll a 1, and let's go ahead and take a look. Let's just, for the sake of teaching this, let's assume the OL is better than the DL, which locks this in. Remember, the OL can only lock in the actual play. The OL cannot shift it. So the OL is better. The OL locks this in. And then let's say I rolled a 3 on the D6. That tells me that the defensive back is the one who's trying to pick this off. And let's say their let's just go look at a team. Let's say here we go. Let's say their DIA is a -2. Let's say they're playing against Dan Fouts. Fouts is a +2. So we add 2 to this, 12 plus for Fouts to be picked. However, the defense is -2, so back down to 10. It would be a 50% chance on that second die that it's intercepted. And let's say that second die was a 9, and it is incomplete. The defensive back can't quite get his mitts on it, and it falls incomplete. So that's what the DFAI does, right? It modifies the range. It modifies the second range up or down. And by the way, the quarterback always modifies this range unless he's a 0. The quarterback and the intended receiver always modify this, right? And you should have the intended receiver either written here, or you're going to have to roll for it. 1d6 tells you which receiver is the target, all right? And again, on runs where it says tripped up, you use that halfback's rating, right? So anyway, hopefully that helps. Now, Fumble's easy. There's only one fumble on the board. It's 11 plus base. That's the base chance that a defense will recover the ball from the offense, right? Which is not 50%. It's actually worse, right? So the offense in the game base has an edge, right? If it was 50%, it would be 10. But I wanted because the offense can come up here literally 5% of the time, and linebacker can shift it. Most likely this will be shifted out by a bad linebacker or a good linebacker is going to shift you out. But let's say every time we roll this with a 0 backer in the game for the defense, well, or if you roll here and go down 2, it's going to be a fumble, right? So there's many ways that this 5% can show up, but it should still be over the course of a game, over the course of a season, over the course of a lifetime. It should only be a 5% chance a fumble will occur. And fumbles happen, quite a bit. They just don't matter really to us unless the ball is lost, right? So you'd be surprised how many times guys put the ball on the ground, they just scoop it up, right? And they bring it in, and nobody, it may be recorded by statisticians. Most likely it should be, right, if it's seen. Okay, but my point is, offense fumbles the ball. It doesn't matter what that fumble is. This could be a quarterback snap exchange fumble. It could be a missed handoff. It could be a missed pitch. It could be whatever you want it to be. But we don't care who. I don't care who. I attribute most fumbles in games to the quarterback because it's attributed to quarterbacks in real life. They get twice the number of fumbles attributed to them. And generally it is the quarterback's fault for fumbles. So whether it's a lineman who strips it from him or something. Okay. Doesn't matter. We're looking at fumbles. So 11 plus is normal. But let's say we're playing against the Chargers here again. Chargers modify this down 2. So they're really solid at getting the ball back. So they flip this from offensive tendency down 2 to 9 plus for defense. Now it's a 55% chance the defense is going to recover this ball. So San Diego flips that completely. And let's say I roll a 12. The defense recovers the ball. San Diego gets it back from Kansas City. Or, let's say Kansas City. Yeah, here we go, Kansas City. So on defense, you want to see negatives. So DFA, you want to see negatives. DIA, you want to see negatives. Defensive unit ratings, you want negatives. And the bigger negatives, the better, because they're not going to lose matches against OLs, and they're going to shift down quite a ways. Now, sometimes you can shift down into a worse thing. I mean, a really good linebacking core takes away the swing pass, but actually shifts you down 2 into a breakaway run. Well, unfortunately, that's going to happen, right? There's a chance that your linebackers who are playing to stop this cheap pass can give up a potential breakaway. You roll to see who gets that potential breakaway, the halfback. But then we have to slide over here, and we have to look 7 plus cut down. Let's say my back's a -2. and it's a 5 plus, he gets cut down for only 1d6 yards. And let's say I roll a 7. Sure enough, he got cut down. He only gets 3 yards. He should have had a touchdown. But his -2 hurt him, right? So that's how it works. So hopefully this sums up everything else. The game only has really 4 rules, right? You roll a d20 for the play call. You roll a d20 for the defensive secondary check, right? That's rule 1. Rule 2, you must always look at the defensive unit to see if the play is shifted away from that play, and then follow whatever that result is. It shifted. This linebacker's so bad it shifts up 2, 1, 2. We look at pass for flanker 4. We go over looking for a secondary chance. There isn't one, so it's a 6-yard pass completed to the flanker, second 4. That's it. So your rules, that's it. I mean, that's in a nutshell. That is how the game works, and that's that. And then of course for every punt, return, kick return, interception return, you should roll. The second d20 should be rolled, or the first d20, whatever, to see if it's actually dropped, fumbled. If they have an asterisk of any kind, a 20 is an automatic touchdown return. Field goals, you have to roll in the range of the player. So let's see here. Field goals 1 to 18 for the Kansas City Chiefs field goal kicker, but let's say we're at the 35, -1. So he would have to kick a 1 to 17 on the d20 to make the kick. All kick returns are marked from the goal line. Again, we use averages. I use the hidden game of football for all of my full football simulators. And I've discussed this a little bit in videos in the past as to why that is. If you really want to know, about why I do full football simulators the way I do them, Flash Football, This Game, RBE, etc., then you'll need to read and understand the hidden game of football, and for reasons that I personally like in what football is, but also in speeding up the game. I don't want to be constantly checking kickoffs and kick returns, and so I really like the smooth play. Plus, over the course of the season, we're going to get the Kansas City's legitimate kick return, what they did legitimately. Punt return, again, is an average. He always punts at 41. We always get the other guy's return. You always roll for a block chance on the punt. You always roll for a fumble chance on the punt. So it's pretty basic, but that speeds up play, and it gives you, over the course of the season, you're going to get legit Kansas City Chiefs special teams. You're not going to get some cheap. You're not going to get any variation from their norm, right? So, because it's about driving the ball in my games, it's about actually moving the ball. If you have an asterisk, that means they also have a chance to return it for a touchdown, but you just make one roll. I roll a d20. If it's a 1, it's fumbled. If it's a 20, it's a touchdown. But you always roll it because you need to look for a fumble chance. What else? The 2 asterisks, or 3 or 4, that just means that's how many they return for touchdowns in real life. So San Diego's secondary returned 2 interceptions on the season for touchdowns. I only put this there to give you an idea of how good that is, or how different that is. You don't have to use it for any limiter, but it's up to you. You could say they can only return 2 in a season or something. The 1 asterisk, same way, just means he had 1. So if you're playing a replay, or you're playing a game and he returns one for a touchdown, you can make a note that he's not allowed to do it again, because things could get out of hand. But that's entirely up to you. But one rule for sure is if they don't have an asterisk, they cannot return one for a touchdown. So because we're trying to represent the quality of the Cleveland Browns, and so that is one of those things that matters, right? So here's a DFA +5. So when they have a chance to recover a fumble, it's 16 and up for them to get the ball back. So Cleveland just not going to pick up a lot of fumbles. So when the ball's fumbled against them, not going to help Cleveland much at all. So, okay, anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully this kind of clarifies the last pieces of this, but also maybe helps people understand the entire process, as it's only about 4 made rules, right? Offensive D20, defensive D20, right? The D6 is for all of these other questions. You don't have to roll, keep picking it up and rolling it. these are triggered secondary results, incompletes, the tripped up, and the intercepteds. The others is just information. Who got the sack, right? Who got that sack? Who made the tackle for loss? So if you were recording, you just want to know if it's Lawrence Taylor's unit or if it's Howie Long's unit or whatever, right? And the secondary results modified by the offensive player, quarterback, wide receiver, or whoever he's throwing it to, modifies that incompletion rate. But intercepted is modified by the DFA, the DIA and the quarterback, and fumbles are modified by the DFA only. And all of this needs to be rewritten. I'm very aware that I need to rewrite BCF. So that is coming, a rewrite of the rules for BCF. It just needs to be written better. So I'm down here, I try to cover those 4 main rules. But there's subtle pieces now, like these DFA, DIA, that I don't cover thoroughly in the rules. So I will get that done. And the last piece of information, I had a typo on 0 and 1. I had these flipped. It should have been 10 and 8. And screen pass, I had a typo in screen pass. So these are the new charts, and they are up on the Google Drive. But it's not a huge problem between 10 and 8. But they were definitely out of sync, because that's a 10% difference between one interception and the other. So it is kind of important there as far as why the 0 is worse result than the 1. The 1 is not as bad a result as the 0, and the -1 is the worst result in the game because it's an automatic turnover. So these have to be intercepted. So this is why -1 is the worst possible result. And up here, the best possible result on the offense is a breakaway run and a pump fake to an open target, because both of these mean touchdowns if they aren't cut down or batted away. So here, the best possible result is automatic. There's a chance that so in this range of 1 to 20, I always wanted teams to have a chance to make big plays. I did not want to put this out of reach, right? So these, what makes them bad plays, when the DB stinks, or this DB stinks, but if this DB stinks for sure, we're going to activate 21 or 22. And why are these bad results? Because they're automatic completions for 9 and 11 yards with no question. And, you hit that a couple of times a game, and, it makes a difference. So, all right, you'll notice the game uses mostly averages, right? It's going to create steady drives or lots of short drives, which is football, right? You're either moving the ball or you're going to be punting or turning it over or whatever. You'll see as you play BCF how it plays out. And because we have a 5% chance that you're going to hit this breakaway run, and then you're going to have a percentage of a chance for it to be stopped, right? It's going to be a 1 to 6 yard average run, and with a chance to go the distance, which is football in a nutshell. Backs are very often one man away, or they're tripped up, or they get cut down or hammered, but they're one step away very often from going to the house. And every pass that goes in the air, a receiver can turn it into a touchdown just about. So the idea must exist so we can get different yardages, right? So there you go. That's how it works. Hopefully everybody can watch this and better understand it. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.